Hi guys, today's video is 5 winter objects I only used after moving to America. And it's Lost in the Pond. You found him funny last time.
He was very good, yeah.
I think we get the British humour between us British people. 5 winter objects. So these ones are what he used after moving to America. So I'm guessing we don't use these in the UK.
Right.
You may know them.
Okay.
But I'm guessing we don't really have that. We just have rain for winter, to be fair.
We do really. Wet and
be interesting to see what objects they are.
Yeah.
You ready?
Let's go.
In England, I've never known weather that would sort of necessitate this kind of headgear. There's wind, but there's not sort of wind that brings along with it a wind chill of -1 billion. Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to the weather. Of course, the weather in both countries at this time of year gets a little cold, and we as human beings have to survive. In order to do so, we don't just shut ourselves in our houses and stick the heating on high. I mean, we do that. In fact, I mostly do that. But there are other ways in which we survive, and that is through the use of winter objects. Growing up in England, I will tell you now, there were certain winter objects with which I was familiar, you know, sledges instead of sleds, or toboggans. Did the same thing, pretty much. And just thin woolen gloves and snowballs. They're not an object, that's just snow congealed. But after moving to America, I realised there were actually a plethora of different objects I'd never encountered before because I never needed them. And so what we're going to do today is we are going to go down 1 to 5, actually no, in reverse order, 5 to 1, and look at the very objects about which I'm speaking. Now before we do get underway here, just a quick disclaimer and a recap. The disclaimer being that some of these objects may well turn up in England. It's just that I didn't have cause to use them back in England, and I don't think that I was an outlier in that regard, whereas the objects I'm about to talk about are actually quite commonplace here in the United States as opposed to in England. Okay, so that's the disclaimer, and the reminder is when I first moved to the United States, I moved to the American Midwest. Very specifically, I moved to the middle of Indiana. I've since moved on to Chicago. Of course, in both places and in much of the northern United States, snow and cold weather is absolutely paramount. That's probably not the right word. There's an abundance of it, shall we say, and we'll be looking at that as compared to the UK in a future video. But without further ado, let's take a look at 5 winter objects I didn't use until I moved to America.
Have you ever used a snow shovel?
Never.
We don't. In Jersey, anyway, we don't really get snow.
We don't. We did used to a long time ago. It was more common, and we would sometimes have a really good covering, and the whole island would come to a standstill because the roads are quite small and quite steep. There's lots of hills, so it was quite dangerous for buses and things. Yeah. But in recent years, I mean, have you seen snow maybe twice in your life?
Probably, yeah. I'm 24, so in 24 years. England definitely get a bit more than us, but I still don't think it's going to compare.
Yeah, I think it's because we're an island, and that by the time snow comes from either France or the UK, because it's over the sea, it just turns to rain.
Yeah, so we just get rain.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting one. So shovels absolutely exist in the United Kingdom. It's just that they're usually used for shoveling dirt. Yeah. Because of the sort of rare event that is snow, you won't usually find somebody purchasing what is referred to as a snow shovel that's sold as a snow shovel. Because there are differences between a snow shovel and a regular shovel. Yeah? It's usually size, because everything is bigger in America, and snow shovels are no different. And of course, snow itself is no different, at least here in the north. It was in my first winter here, my brother-in-law showed me how to use one. I mean, it's
crazy amount of snow.
It does what it says on the tin. Just grab it by the handle and whatever that bit is, the neck, and do that and throw it. It's a lot of hard labour. Nobody tells you that going in. And my brother-in-law didn't tell me that going in, and I left with cramp in my arm. Actually, it would have been very useful if you'd have told me about the next entry on this list, you brother.
Snow blower, do you know what that is?
Something that blows snow.
I know what this is from the movies, from Home Alone, where they're doing the driveway.
Oh, okay.
But we have never. I don't think I've ever seen one in Jersey being used.
I never have ever.
No.
Unfortunately, just like the shovel, I don't have one of those handy to show you because I rent these days. But they are absolutely brilliant. And again, I've only used one once, but it was the absolute coolest machine, literally, because it was filled with snow. But the thing is about it, it's not filled with snow. I mean, it is temporarily, but what you do is you just push it along like this, through the snow, and it just pushes all of the snow out to the side. It's usually hits family members, brother-in-laws specifically. I did apologise at the time. and I still haven't spoken to him since. But they are absolutely amazing. We just don't have cores to use them much in the UK. You may see members of the council using them, but not actual human beings. So that was quite a revelation to realise that a lot of people had snowblowers just hanging around in their sheds. And the sheds were covered in snow too, so you had to use the snow shovel just to get into them, to get to the snowblower. It was like,
Seems like a lot of
it
effort.
defeated the purpose entirely until you did the garden. Both of these come in handy when you're just trying to get through the snow and to your actual car.
That's insane.
We experienced
That
this.
is insane.
I would only.
Jersey would go into
dream of snow
meltdown
like
though
that.
if that
We
happened.
would just stop. Completely
Like
stop.
life would just not be able to carry on.
For about
But
8
over
years when we
months,
owned a car while living in Indiana. And I will tell you, one of the worst jobs during winter is shoveling the snow away from the vehicle just so you can get out. Sometimes it gets 2 feet deep and, you can't even see your car, much less get in it. And then once you've cleared all that away, you've still got to contend with the ice on the windscreens. And you can either turn on the car, heat it all the way up and just sit for an hour until it all melts.
Yeah.
That's not happening. Or something else you could do if you were in a rush, which was me most days because I slept through my alarm, is you could scrape all of that ice off with what is known as an ice scraper.
Yes, we have.
We have these,
We
but
do.
I think we have the little tiny ones.
Yes, we have a little ham one that I do for my windscreen and my windows in the morning when I'm trying to get to work.
Yeah, we do have an
Yeah,
ice
we
cream.
have ice. We don't have snow.
No.
Again, I think they have these in the UK, but they're only used really in very, very extreme circumstances. This is something that you will do multiple times every single winter up here in the Midwest of the United States. I know, I did it, and I got a return to that arm cramp that I got from the shovel. It is just one long winter of arm cramp. I will say this, though, there is something quite pleasing about that. If you're wearing the right gloves and it's not too cold out, never do the ice scraping without gloves,
Oh, no,
because you'll
imagine
regret it
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes after
Frozen
getting into the car.
fingers.
But if you've got gloves on and you're doing that, it is quite cathartic. So long as you don't break the windscreen. Sometimes it feels like you are doing that because you're scraping off basically ice, which can look and sound like glass. And then once you've scraped off all the ice, right, and there's just sort of bits of powdery ice on the windscreen and bits of snow, the best thing then to do is just open the door and slam it, and you just cause this sort of little avalanche on the car. So long as you don't cause an actual avalanche. If you're living in the mountains, just be careful. I mentioned the gloves. It is very important to have good gloves, but equally important while you're wading through all of this snow is our fourth entry.
Winter boots.
Yeah.
I think if it was like icy or slushy, would you probably just wear like welly boots?
Yeah, and a pair of warm socks.
I think you guys call them rain
probably.
boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have designated boots
No.
for snow.
No, there's no
'cause we don't
need
get
for them. No, be wellies or maybe
Yeah.
like walking boots.
Walking
but
boots, yeah, maybe. Or like hiking trainers or something like that.
Yeah,
Something sturdy.
bit grip.
Yeah.
I truly didn't believe how bad it was going to get in the Midwest until I actually saw it with my own eyes. So after doing all of the shoveling or the snow blowing or the scraping of the ice, I realized that I'd made the mistake of wearing sneakers in the snow the whole time. Don't do that because there's a number of reasons. Firstly, the snow gets inside your shoe. You don't want that. And also, it's just cold and wet all round. So you need to be able to keep your feet warm. I think that's almost the most important thing because those are the things that are going into the actual snow. So to do that, you have to have one of these. Well, not one. You need two. It would be really silly if you only had one. It's a boot, but look at it. It's bigger than me. And I have to get inside this. It is, you do feel protected. I feel like a foot soldier when I'm wearing this. And I do have another one just for the record. It's right here. Sorry, they've not been cleaned since last winter. I'll get
They
around
look
to
comfy.
that. Put
Yeah,
one of
they
them
look
down
really
because they are
snuggy.
cumbersome and heavy. Arm cramp, again, arm cramp is the thing that happens in winter. But they are absolutely amazing and they do keep your feet warm. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And if you're ever set upon by an enemy, just kick them between the legs with this and they'll never come after you again. It's really, though, two boots. It's this black boot right there that you see. But inside it is this sort of... I'm going to pull it out. Look at that. It looks like a wrestling
that.
boot.
Wow.
I've never noticed that before.
Gold.
Again, if somebody comes at you,
like a
just
thermal.
pretend you are Ric Flair. Put that down. They're really good. I love them. I've had these 2 years. Absolutely need them in Chicago, especially if you're cycling in Chicago. That's nuts. Who does that in the snow? I did last winter. I'm a brave soul. I wouldn't be quite as brave, though, if I didn't have the final entry on this list.
Oh, face shield.
Wow.
It doesn't get cold enough.
No, definitely not.
There's
I don't think I've ever
Scarf
seen anyone
and a
wear
hat
one.
is probably the max.
Maybe earmuffs.
Yeah, I feel like even that's a tiny bit exaggerated. If
Yeah.
you've got a hat on, you don't need. But
No.
I don't think. Well, I feel like it definitely doesn't get cold here like it does in parts of America, but it's still cold. It gets bitter.
I think it's the wind chill that we get here that's really cold. I think sometimes it can be like 5 degrees, but then the wind chill's like -15 sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah, but if you've got a scarf on and a hat, you're
Pretty okay.
You're
Pair of
pretty
gloves,
okay. Yeah, you're
thick
pretty
socks.
and you just stay inside otherwise.
So this is a face shield, and you know what its important job is that not only does it sort of keep snow off you and things like that, the important thing that it does is it keeps the cold wind, the harsh wind
like a
of
bounce
Chicago off you. It also keeps
getting
those people
heist.
that come at you off you. They'll think you're a Bond baddie and call MI6 or something. I don't know why I'm wearing this. Sorry if it looks terrifying. I'll take it down because there's no wind in here. I don't really need it, and actually it's making it very hard to breathe, which isn't good when you're trying to present a video. But this is one of the best acquisitions I ever made as an athlete here in Chicago. I'm not an athlete. I mean, I ride to work for recreation. I wouldn't be seen dead wearing this in England. There'd be no reason to wear this in England. You know, you don't want to wear one of these while it's raining. That's for sure, because it would just get soaked all around.
Yeah.
In England, I've never known weather that would sort of necessitate this kind of headgear. There's wind, but there's not sort of wind that brings along with it a wind chill of -1 billion. I'm trying to think of a scenario in which you would need it. It doesn't quite go with the tweed hat. But I absolutely love it on me. My wife loves it on me.
I know.
What do you mean? That's it for this episode. Thank you for...
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Oh, you do. You actually kind of like the snow, though, don't you? So I was going to say, are you happy that we don't have to use these, but you would probably like to use them.
I love to use all of that. I love the snow.
Do you think you'd get bored of it, though? Because they have it, like, for months.
No, that would be... No, because
I
I
don't
prefer
know.
the winter, really, anyway. I
don't know if I could cope with the snow.
like autumn, and I like the winter, and I like a nice fire, and
Well, hopefully you get snow
Yeah.
this year, but I don't think you will.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. If there's any other Lost in the Pond videos you want us to react to, let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.